Hello, this is Lydia at Homespun Quilt and Yarn in Astoria, Oregon. Today I thought we'd do a little bit of Stitch in the Ditch. I apologize in advance if my camera gets knocked. That happens to me quite often here. First I want to show you on the back of this, you can see which way the seam is pressed. And in this case it's going towards the fish. And that is what forms our ditch on the top side. So here's the kind of background fabric, and here's the fish. And you'll feel a little ridge. You'll feel a ridge all along here. And that's from your seam being pressed towards the fish. And what we're aiming for is to get right in, hopefully disguise the thread in that ditch. So first I'm going to bring up my top thread, and I don't know if you can see it in the video. Let me get a pointer. I don't think you can see it, but right in here I can see my stitches where my thread has sewn the two pieces of fabric together. And that's where I want my stitches to be if I can possibly get them there. Now personally, I use these little pressed foam pads. They make these for camping. So it's like a sleeping mat, but they grip the fabric super well. So first I'm going to just do my hand, and I'm bringing up my thread to the top. So I want to be able to know where my bobbin thread is and that it doesn't make a big nest on the back. Tools. This is a stiletto I made. Nice and beaded. Blue's my favorite color, so that's what I like. But it's got a nice little handle, and I made a little flat place for my finger to sit. And then this point is super sharp. Okay. Now I've got my bobbin thread up, and I'm looking for the very edge at the top of this block. And again, I'm just going to use my hand wheel to put that right in the ditch where I want it to be. Now, as all things, this will vary as to whether you want to backstitch right here or turn your stitches down really low and take, 5 or 6 stitches just on a little tiny stitch. I'm going to use these to pull my fabrics apart. And I'm just going to do a few really tiny stitches there. Then I will put this back, and I like to have my stitch length at around 3. I also put in a size 14 needle compared to a size 90 that I use for piecing. And that's mostly because I'm using a 30 weight thread, which is a variegated color, kind of matching this fabric here. Okay, so watch out. This is where I'll probably knock the camera over. And again, I'm using these pads, and I'm pulling the two fabrics apart so I can see my seam. And I'm just going to go right into that where I can see those stitches that I've sewn the two fabrics together. You can also do this with your fingers, but it's a little bit harder on you. Hey, we've made it like whole 20 seconds without knocking the camera out. don't know if you can actually see this. Oops. Okay, do one thing at a time. When I get to the bottom of this, I'll show you what it should look, well, hopefully what it's going to look like if it's done completely correctly. But as you can see, my quilt is not always listening to me, and I don't always follow the rules. Okay. We've been doing a lot of lives lately and telling dad jokes. And dad jokes are those really, I mean, so stupid little pun things that, like, where does a boat go when it gets sick? To the boat dock. Okay, so I'm at the end of this one. I'm going to put my stitch length super tiny again and finish this little thing. Okay. So let's see how we did. Pull this out. So it turns out, personally, I don't think it's that great, but it's okay. Ideally, this thread would be hidden underneath where this comes back over. And that's the nature of Stitch in the Ditch. It doesn't always work how you hope it will. Right in here, you can see I did a really good job of getting it underneath there. In this part, it doesn't matter as much because the thread matches, but again, you know, but I'm happy with this, really. And I'm not perfect. And I would just keep going. Okay, I'm going to hang on to the camera for a minute. This is a spot where my ditch changes. So on this one, my ditch is under here. When we get to this point here, the ditch changes because my seams are opposite to make that nice corner. So now my ditch is over here. And when you come to that point here, I've only got one hand, so you are going to stitch along. See if I can get some eyeballs on here better. I'm going to stitch along. Oops. Put my needle back to where... Okay. Now instead of continuing down this side, you're going to just switch and come down this side. All right, I've heard quilters say that this is actually one of the harder things to do, and practice will help. If you use a matching thread, that'll help hide the mistakes more. All right. Have a good day, everyone. We'll see you next time.